But wouldn't it be wild if this was like a coordinated and planned thing?
I was
It's
thinking
like,
the same
hey
thing.
man, I'm gonna go talk a bunch of, trash in the press and we'll do these diss tracks and we'll create a whole bunch of, of hype around all of this and then we'll all be happy. We'll all make money.
Dude, okay. So we're gonna start off this episode with some super cool news. 40 Below Summer just had their CD release show party, whatever you want to call it. That's what we used to call it back in the day, CD release
Yeah.
parties,
Yeah.
for all you youngins.
Because
But
we were all
yeah,
drunk.
yeah, that's right. October 11th, they had their CD release show at the Starland Ballroom in New Jersey, and I saw a bunch of live footage from that. Dude, they still got it, man.
Oh yeah.
I freaking love that band so much, man. I am
Hmm.
so happy for them that they're kicking out a new album and they're doing new material and they're still going out there live and man, it's so freaking cool. Like just seeing Max and all the band, obviously, okay, we're big fans, but like Max just his dreads, first off, are like 9 feet long now, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how the heck he flips those things around like he does. But anyways, yeah, man, just seeing he's still bringing it. I mean, obviously everybody looks a little bit older as we do too,
Sure.
but man, they just looked like they were having such a good time and stuff, and the crowd was digging it. And oh, it's so cool to see this like resurgence of this era and just seeing
Mm.
these bands that had faded out and come back and still getting the love. And you're getting this new generation, like coming in. You see like the video and stuff. There's obviously a lot of people like us or got some gray in our hair or no hair at all anymore. And but then yeah, you see, I mean, there's a good probably 40% of that crowd, if not more, maybe 60% of the crowd that were 18, 25 years old, who were
Sure.
just getting into it, man. They were freaking loving 40 Below. So I'm super stoked for those guys, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good. I mean, it's cool to see, a band like 40 Below Summer to kind of take that sound and do something new with it, you know?
Right.
Like 40 Below, they have their distinct kind of songwriting, like there's something very unique there. And just the way that they kind of going all the way back to episode one and talking about hooks,
Yeah.
they're very strategic in that. And the way that they place certain drum beats is very unique.
Yes.
Um, and it's cool to see them kind of, if you listen to that, and then listen to Invitation to the Dance, it's kind of like a time warp, it's like a modern version of what Invitation to the Dance,
Nailed it.
is. And that's really cool.
Yep.
Like, I mean, the song Dark Side, I mean, my God, like,
It's cool.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool because the thing is, like, if you think about it, and this is what fascinates me, is how many years from the last time they were in the studio as a band together until now. And to be able to, granted, again, there are all certain elements that come together that make that band, but to be able to
Mm,
come out 20 years later ish and be able to produce like the next volume of that sound you know what I mean? It's like,
mm,
if you think about it, like so much has happened to all those people and on an individual level, and then to come back like that, rejoin as a band, and then be able to produce your sound again where it still sounds like you, but it's revitalized.
yeah,
That is incredible. I mean,
yeah,
just because we all go through all this stuff in life where we change, we get better at our instruments, or we haven't picked it up for 15 years. Maybe we're not as good anymore, really
yeah.
rusty, whatever. But you bring so many different elements to the studio now. Your teen angst is all gone. Now it's
To
it's not
turn into
about
adult angst.
right. Exactly right. It's like you're not talking about your mom anymore pissing you off or your girlfriend cheating on you or something like that. Now
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
other things like your boss or whatever, it's way different. Like I can't eat gluten anymore,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But no, I mean, so again, mad props to 40 Below Summer, man. That
yeah,
is so cool that they're out doing it again. And
yeah. Yeah, I was incredibly excited when that record came out. I
yes.
was like immediately,
Yep.
spectacular from no one, you know. And that's that's rare, and that speaks a lot to their talent level too.
Yep.
And it's interesting what they did with sound and like
Yeah.
tone changes and things like that because technology has changed, from Invitation to the Dance to now. And I know there were records in between, but when you listen to it, like how they were able to kind of maneuver that. And I know Max, if memory serves, he is a producer, has a
Yeah.
studio, that
Yep.
that whole kind of thing. So the way that they were able to capture the tones that they did uh, was really was really quite cool. And that's an interesting kind of topic too, because in the age of modeling and digitizing everything and you're not, it's rare that, you're working a tone through an amp. You're
Right.
recording a DI and you're gonna, reamp it with this, that, and the other thing. And I don't know what they did. And I kind of don't want to know. I
I know
kind
exactly.
of like it to just be what it is.
Yep.
And,
Right. Because we're coming across from the era, the I guess what we call it, just the experience of like we know what goes into it, but then we also know like what's caught up with the industry and technology and stuff. And
mm,
so how do they reproduce some of that stuff? And so your brain starts going, how do they do that? But it's also like, I just want to be the 23-year-old again here in 40 Below for the first time and be like, heck yeah, dude.
yeah,
And it's like, and that's what they were able to produce. And I freaking love it, man.
yeah. It takes a little bit of the magic away
Yeah.
when it's like, oh, okay, they used, this modeler and this and that and the other thing. It takes a
Right.
little bit of the magic away. And for a long time, that's why I didn't like learning cover songs
Right.
because
Yeah.
I felt like it
Yep.
ruined the song for me.
Agreed. Yeah.
And, recent past, as I'm trying to like study my instrument more, it's like, of course, I'm going back and learning those, but it absolutely does. It absolutely does do that.
It
It's
does.
like it loses something
Yeah.
when you get into all the little idiosyncrasies of the music.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's how they did that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
it does.
oh,
And just even outside of the I won't say any, band names or whatever, but like after you record and the whole process of the production of everything, it's really easy to start picking apart like just on listening to somebody else and seeing,
mm,
okay, oh, I see what they did, I see what they did, I see what they did. And again, it's like in some senses it's like you have like your right side of your brain that's like, oh, that's really cool how they did these things and
yeah,
they layered everything right, but then the left side is like, man, I freaking just want to hear it. I don't want to be thinking about all the
right,
technicality of what they put into it and stuff. And in some senses, again, like I said, I'm not going to drop any names or whatever, but in some senses, it kind of ruined a few bands for me.
mm,
And I think offline, you and I have talked about a couple of them and stuff, but
yeah,
I just some singers out there, they use different techniques and stuff that I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cheating, and that's fine, to each their own, and they write good music and stuff, and so that I leave it alone, let it be. But yeah, that's kind of ruined a lot of things for me, understanding how the cake is made. It's like sometimes I
yeah,
just want to sit
yeah,
down and be just like, oh, that freaking tastes good. But when
mm,
you're a chef and like you could pick out like, oh man, there's allspice, there's cumin, there's, like you
mm,
just like at some point that kind of ruins it for you. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough.
and it's one of those things where it's I don't know, it just takes the magic away. I think for me, and
Yeah,
you know, like music is one of the only things that like what's the word engages like your entire brain
yeah,
just listening to music, right?
yep,
So it's like I just want it to be that. I don't
yeah,
want to know that, and that's kind of the, I guess, being a musician, that's hard for me to digest because it's like, okay, well, what could I learn if I knew how they did that?
right,
But also as somebody who, you know, loves music, like, it's kind of this, well, what do I do here? I don't know,
right.
you know.
No, and that's
Um,
and that's why I really I'm so intrigued by new material and
mm,
whether it's movies, music, whatever, um, new foods, things of that nature and stuff. And granted, I got my same, these things that you fall back on that you love and everything, but like coming back to the music side of it, I don't want to be able to know what they did. You know what I mean? And so like Tala, for example, I just
Yeah.
it's I haven't felt that way in a long time where you just hear it and you go, whoa, hold on. There's so many elements to this thing. I can't even piece it together. I'm very intrigued in how they did this, but I'm also just like, man, this is just let me just lay back and explore this in my brain for a little bit, and it's like there's
Mhm.
so few bands that are able to do that, for me at least anyways nowadays. And I miss that. And I'm so glad that there's bands that are utilizing the new technology and they're able to encompass that where they're able to create something new that's never really been explored before. And there's a lot of bands that are coming out that are like that, and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's like thank you so
Yeah.
much for doing
Well,
that.
yeah, and I think, a lot of that is kind of, people are creating a vibe and a soundscape and, kind of going back to Deftones, for a minute. It's like that's
Right,
kind of what their forte is now. And, you know, when you're trying to create something like that, that's when you're truly creating an experience,
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
folks. And it becomes, okay, now you're engaging their brain, but you're also kind of engaging the rest of their nervous system. You know what I mean? It's like they're getting a
Correct.
feeling from this. And that's not all music does that, you know?
True.
And it's like coming from somebody who plays in a thrash metal band, it's
Yep.
like, does that do that for me? No, not really.
Yeah.
That's kind of an endurance thing for me. But, you know, I think that's super important. And that's something that a lot of these bands from late 90s, early 2000s really had a good grip on, was
Yes.
how to create that mood and that vibe.
Right.
So,
I agree. I agree. And and again, I think, kind of talking about the comparisons of say thrash compared to grunge or compared to whatever else and
mm,
stuff, again, everybody's got their own taste and stuff like that. And I think that some certain bands have the ability of superseding time, with what they've created, which is
sure.
cool. Some they stamp time and they do it in such a way that it takes you back every single time, and I think that that's very relevant when it comes to creating music as well. But then I think that on both sides of that too, you can fall off the cliff, where you
Hmm.
timestamp this and you shouldn't have done that, and then like
Yeah.
some, it's like you've gone too far off, on that razor's edge of what is actually artistic. And, it's like, yeah, you kind of ruined it. You muddied it up, but that's, not being overly critical, but that's what's fun about music is, and that's, I respect everybody who likes all different kinds of music. I'm not a huge country fan myself, but I know a lot of people who just absolutely love it because
Hmm.
they've never really explored other areas of their, of music and stuff, which is cool. But it always comes back to, oh, I remember listening to this song with my dad driving in the truck. And I remember this song
Right.
went my senior year at a party and we were doing keg stands and stuff, And it's like that's what it's all about, man. It's all about relatability to each other and
Right.
relatability to your memories. And
Hmm.
that's just what's so freaking fun about music. Brings
Yeah.
us here today. You
Yeah.
know what I
The
mean?
nostalgia piece. Yeah.
Yes, the
The
nostalgia.
nostalgia of it. Um, but yeah, the kind of the record that I wanted to chat through a little bit today, absolutely is that. I
Yep.
think that there's a lot of nostalgia around this record for me. And I think, it's that way for a lot of people, whether they like this record or hate this record,
Oh, I love
um,
this record.
because it's kind of a
Yep.
50-50, I
Yep.
think, on this particular Machine Head album. But I wanted to kind of chat through the Burning Red a little bit.
Heck yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. This album, I will say, is definitely my favorite Machine Head record of all time. Um, I know that that is controversial to a lot of people. But again, I am a new metal fan through and through. This is
Mm.
by and large a new metal record,
Oh yeah.
and I totally feel I don't want to say that they evolved or devolved or graduated or anything, but they changed their sound,
Hmm.
later on. Um, I would love to find out why, but that's fine. I think maybe they saw the writing on the wall that things were changing or whatever because, this album came out in 99, which obviously everything was really hot, iron just glowing
Oh
red
yeah.
hot, of turntables and rapping and all that stuff, and that's definitely what this album is, and it's cool and I love it. But
Yeah.
going to that point, and again, no disrespect, that's where I fell off though with Machine Head, is when they changed their sound, because I think they did so good with this record and it works so well. And again, kudos to them. They can do whatever they want. They can change their sound, whatever they want to do and stuff. But then they went more just like kind of like typical metal.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't follow with it. I think I fell in love with this record too much. And when they changed, it was hard for me, man. I got emotional. No, I'm just
That's okay. That's
yeah,
okay.
that's
You
all
know,
right.
yeah, it was a drastic change in sound, and I think there was a couple things that were going on that kind of caused that to happen.
Yeah,
Logan Mader quit,
yeah,
and Rob's been very vocal about that being very hard for him. Um, and there was some things that he was indulging in that kind of, you know,
yeah.
played into things. And then of course it was produced by Ross Robinson.
Correct.
So, when you hire him in the 90s to produce your record, you're gonna get a very specific sound.
Right.
And we all know who it's gonna sound like, and that's
Yep.
intentional.
Yep.
It's gonna sound like Corn.
Yep. Yep.
It just is.
It is.
And they had to have known, and they caught a lot of flack on this record for trying to, kind of sound like the times or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
So
because they go
they
way
got beat up
back,
pretty bad.
man. I mean, they were around for a minute before they started getting into that kind of sound. And I mean, maybe not quite as long as like Metallica when they did Saint Anger or something, but it was definitely a change. But no, I mean, again, coming back to it, there's not a bad song. I mean, I'm not saying that Machine Head sucks by any means, because I love
Yeah.
them, but it's just yeah, when they went through, like, which I think a lot of people really love, Through the Ashes of Empires, which again, good
Hmm.
album, but I think that's where I felt, just from my experience, that's where people really started to like blow them up
Yeah.
into, you know, one of their favorite bands and stuff like that. And I'm like, but did you see this album though? And it's like, I'm like, guys, this is super cool. But again, so a lot of people, they blew up, and then for me, it was like that's where they lost me. And again,
Mhm.
it's a great album too, Through the Ashes of Empires. It's
Yeah.
amazing. But again, that's where they're really starting to get back into just the metal groove.
Hmm.
And
It's, Machine Head is one of those bands that, to really understand the record, you have to kind of understand what was going on at the
yeah,
time, I
yep,
think, because there's always something with Machine Head. Like, the record sounds the way it does because of something that's happening at the time. And yeah, that happens to every, artist and musician and whatever, but like, it's almost like you can pinpoint it with every record, because
yeah,
on Through the Ashes of Empires, they had just been dropped from Roadrunner.
yeah,
So that was
yeah,
self-financed. So, and I don't know if he quit or they let him go or whatever, but it was just the three of them. It was Dave, um, Adam, and Rob, and they
yeah.
wrote the whole thing, and they were just pissed. And, you know, because I mean, Supercharger, we all know what happened to Supercharger,
Right. Yep.
and to try and recover from that, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you gonna
You know what I
do?
mean?
Yep.
And you're mad, you're pissed,
Yep.
and you get a record like Through the Ashes of Empires, but then you got a record like The Blackening,
Yes.
which there are some riffs on that are probably in my top 10 of all time.
Right.
But we're not talking about The Blackening, we're talking about
No.
The Burning Red.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think, again, I think maybe it's just for me. I spun it so many times, and
Yeah.
I just love it so freaking much. And again, it's probably Ross magic, which is fine,
He's the
but
king of it.
he's the
Yeah.
king of it. And I just think that, again, for me, not to disparage or anything, but again, by them going beyond it or whatever, but like, I just think of like Johnny Santos, right? Hi- you know, his voice was so spine shank to me. And then when he went over to do Silent Civilian, which was definitely like more like metalcore,
Hmm.
it fit, but it didn't fit for me. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not that it was bad, because it definitely wasn't bad.
That's
Silent Civilian was amazing.
it's a
But
hard
it was just
transition as a listener.
correct. It's very hard. And that's, like, you think of like Corey Taylor and all the different projects he's done and stuff. It's like Corey almost makes the song, and he kind of blends things together between the mutual bands. But you know what I'm saying? But it's
Yeah.
like with Machine Head and everything, it was different. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's just so nostalgic to me for this record because I loved it so much that it's hard for me to hear them
Do anything else.
do anything else. Again,
Well,
not saying that they're bad because
right.
again, I mean, they've been freaking busy all these years, which
Mm.
good for them, dude.
Rob's
That's
a
just
machine.
yes.
He is a
Yes.
machine.
Yeah, and it's like and they've been consistent, which is awesome, but it's just like every
Hmm.
time I hear their stuff, I'm like, but can you it'd be like
Right.
seeing Limp Bizkit for me almost like
Right.
doing something hardcore, it's like
Yeah.
which again, they're not to go off on another tangent, but their latest album, the Still Sucks album, they did some like grunge stuff on there, which was a little keep it in your lane,
Yeah.
but either way.
Leave it to Wes. Leave it
Yep,
to
leave it to
Wes.
Wes. That's right. Yep. But
Um, but yeah, I do kind of want to back up kind of all the way because
sure.
again, um, I'm a fan of how bands get signed. It's like
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want to know, you
Yep.
know. Um, so Machine Head, they were recording just self-producing, a
Oh,
record, most of which became Burn My Eyes.
yeah.
And it ended up in the hands of Monty Connor at Roadrunner. And the guy who gave it to him was the guy who started Blabbermouth.
Oh, really? I didn't know
So
that.
kind
That's
of a
awesome.
small world, but so it ended up in Monty's hands, and yeah, immediately record deal. But they were Central California, in the early '90s. So I mean, hip hop was a big part of it from the beginning for
Yes.
Rob, and and I think that kind of translated or kind of followed through and was kind of epitomized on this particular record. But you mix that with Ross Robinson,
Yeah.
and you get that
He's gonna pull it out.
that
Yep.
extremely personal
Yep.
kind of lyrics and performance. you
Yeah.
know
Yep.
you're gonna get some crazy stuff, and
Yeah.
there's some subject matter on this record that I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really know about until I started looking into to info for this conversation. Like there's suicide,
All
there's
right.
essay going on, like
Yep.
there's a lot of heavy stuff lyrically on this record, and Rob was going through it. And, when you're going through it and you've got Ross Robinson trying to pull it out of you, you're going to get something wild. And I think that's, that's always been what's attracted me to Ross's production work, whether
Yeah.
it was the first two Korn albums, whether it was Human Waste Project, or if it was, the first Slipknot or the first two Slipknot records. Like there's just something that he does to
Right.
pull that out of you, that kind of going back to something you said, it's hard to listen after that because you're
Yes.
not getting that,
Correct.
and
Yep.
if you connected with it in such a way, that it was personal like that, yeah, it's going to be hard to listen to anything thereafter.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that, a band should not work with anybody but Ross Robinson.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just going to be dramatically different.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and that's the thing,
But
and obviously, I think we've had this discussion before, a little bit, about producers and stuff, and
mhm,
they almost become, the sixth member of the band or
yeah,
whatever, the extra member,
like it or not.
like it or not, and yeah, and then, good or bad, it could be the defining, push to get you where you are hoping to go, or to or your demise,
Right.
and again, we've had a lot of discussion about that and stuff, and I think it's important, obviously, that I think to say that I think Ross, Robinson was probably the most notorious, producer of this time, and
Mm,
and obviously he's got his style in it, so it'd be like hearing Jim Root on a bunch of different records. He's got his style of guitar, and
mhm,
whoever else, Cameron Heacock from Head Charge, he's got his sound, and
yeah.
so it's again, it's his thing, but again, you're right, not to get on this big this big Ross Robinson kick again, but he's just really good at pulling what he can see in people out, and then he makes it into what as what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
he's going again, coming back to the chef thing, so say he likes a certain style of chili, and it's like he's able to see the different elements of what it takes to make this chili based on the ingredients of what you are as a band. And he wants to heighten that up
Yeah.
and blend this a little bit differently and make that better. And I think that he just does a phenomenal job, especially with Machine Head and every other record that I've heard him do. But either way, coming back to this album, sorry, I
Yeah.
like energetic me with a
No,
whole bunch of
no,
stuff, but
you're
it's like
totally fine.
so they got signed with Roadrunner
Yeah.
with
Um,
this.
right. And they did the two
Yep,
records before. They
yep,
did Burn
yep,
My Eyes and The More Things Change.
yep.
At this point, I think they were getting some pressure from Roadrunner
Yeah,
in terms of sales. Like they
would
needed
have
to
to
sell
be.
more.
Yeah,
Mhm. I don't recall sales on the first two records, but they were nowhere near the
yeah.
Burning Red. Any idea what they sold globally?
Oh man, I have no idea. I'd say like just on this record on the Burning
Yeah.
Red,
Yeah.
I'd say 150.
400
400. Okay, good, good.
globally. Um, and, that was, to me, that seemed low,
Yeah.
because I
Well,
feel like everybody I knew had it,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
you know?
because
So
every
I'm
time that
like,
every time you ask me that, I'm always like 2 million. Like, you're like, no,
wrong,
dude,
16
150.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it,
Um,
I always shoot way too high.
but it just seemed really low because, I don't know. Like, I thought,
It does seem low.
everybody in my circles had it, and everybody would play From This Day, like in a jam room. And, everybody learned that riff,
Yes,
because it's such a stellar riff. Um,
absolutely.
but so yeah, but I think they were getting pressure. So it's, when you're getting pressure from a label, are you going to try and lean into what's popular? Maybe.
Yeah,
Not to say that that was the intent, because I think that, having listened to, I don't know how many interviews with Rob,
yeah,
he was going through a lot of stuff
yeah.
at that point, substance and trauma and all of these things. And there's old Ross. He's going to pull it
Sure.
right out of you.
Yep, yep.
But one of the fun things about the recording of this record is that Slipknot were finishing their debut at the time at
Oh,
Indigo. So they were all there at the same time.
oh, really? I didn't even know that. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
And there's a song, oh, I don't remember which one it is. And I don't know if I wrote it down. I didn't write it down. Dang it. But there's a song where um, Ross and Joey Jordison like run into the vocal booth and are like screaming with them and trying to,
Oh, nice.
get them all riled up. I'll have to go look at what song it was,
Heck yeah.
um, but yeah, they were all there, and it sounds like it was kind of a big party kind of vibe.
That's fun.
So, but yeah, I had no idea that they were that close, so to speak.
Yeah, I
Or
had
those
no idea
records
either.
were that kind of,
Well, I mean, it makes sense. It both
close.
came out in 99, but
Yeah.
man, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Like think about that though, just like in the era of time with that and everything, and basically how big these two bands got,
Mm.
and neither one of I mean, Machine had been doing it for a while, up until that point. But again, like, oh my gosh, that's so intriguing to think of just like they're both young. Machine Head's been doing it, so they're kind of I mean, you got to think that they're looking at Slipknot as, oh man, these guys are
These are the new
something
guys.
else. Yeah, these are the new guys. That's all I'm saying. These guys are something. There's something here. But
Yeah.
then also Slipknot's got to be looking at Machine Head going like, holy crap, we can't believe we're like in the same,
Mm-hmm.
studio, working with the same producer. And so like it pinched
Right.
me, like, oh man, that'd be fun just to like go back and talk to Rob and stuff about, what that was like. Gosh, that's crazy. I had no idea that they were
Yeah.
at the same place at the same time. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of wild because I mean, Slipknot, that first record kind of launched them into the stratosphere, so to
Big
speak.
time.
And then they come back and do Iowa.
Yep.
And
And then boom.
then Machine Head did Supercharger, and
Yep.
that's kind of when the two paths can,
Yeah. With their
separated, so to speak.
Yep.
But again, I mean, even on Iowa, it's that Ross Robinson production. And I mean, there's interview after interview with Corey,
Yeah.
about those vocal sessions. I mean, that's just what Ross does. And I imagine that as a singer, having to go through an experience like that
Yeah.
is probably, I don't want to say it's traumatic on its own, but it probably takes a lot out of you.
Oh
So
gosh, yeah.
you may not want to jump right back into it again.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
You know
Yeah,
what
I
I
mean,
mean?
gosh, to think about, I mean, it's almost like a therapy session, but he's not there to
100%.
heal you. He's
He's
there to
there to
make the
extract
cracks
it from you.
wider.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you ever hear the record that he did with The Cure, Ross?
I did. Yes. Yep.
That was, I mean, I, yeah, like
It was
I don't even
interesting.
know what to say about it. Like it was different and it was his production. And it's like, okay, I want to see what he's going to do with them.
Right.
And I got into that record more for him than the
Yes.
band.
That's
It's
what
like, I
I
love The
was going to
Cure,
say the same thing.
but
Yep.
I'm like, I'm listening to this because I'm curious about Ross, not Robert,
Correct. Right.
which
And
is
that's
such a
saying a lot.
bizarre thing to say, but
Yeah. And it's saying a lot because the thing is, on that record, I was actually kind of dismissive about it until I heard that Ross did it. And I was like, okay,
mhm,
I got to give this more intent,
yeah,
listening to it. And it's good. I think it's good. I think it's cool.
yeah.
It's a little bit different of a tweak for that band, but
Oh
I think
yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
But
So what did you think about the Police cover on the Burning Red?
um, again, that was also that time where everybody was freaking covering everything. But I think
Yeah.
they did a good job with it. I think it's cool. Again, I'm not a huge, police fan myself or whatever.
Mm,
So again, I think that's the other part about covering songs is that sometimes you're going to miss the mark and you're going to do something that's,
mm,
probably not down your alley or other people aren't going to like it.
right.
Um,
Right.
I mean, we talked about like Five Finger Death Punch again, like doing classic songs and stuff. I mean, like you're really like hitting especially if you're not putting your own twist to it, you're really honing in on an era and leaving it there. Like
Mhm.
like you're like knocking on the door of 54-year-olds, like and nobody else. And but no, I
Yeah.
thought that I don't know. I think it's cool. I think they did a good job.
I
What'd
like
you
it.
think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded good and it fit in the album sequence. And I thought they did a good job. And, it frequently is on lists of, top 25, classic rock
Sure.
cover songs,
Sure.
which I think probably gives this record the most attention these days
Yeah.
anyway. Because I know Rob has tried to downplay that cover. I don't think he cared for it.
Yeah.
And I think Ross pushed him to do it. I think is how the story goes.
You think so? Well, again,
Hmm.
you
I
think
think
it's
I read that
because of,
somewhere.
yeah, you think it's probably because of
Yeah.
the time, you think, again, like what I was talking about, or
I probably, but
yeah,
then again, it's like I like to think that, when bands and kind of go into something that we've talked about numerous times, when they're picking a cover song to
yeah,
do, how are they going to do it? What's the right song?
right.
And I will say this until my last breath, but it's like metal fans don't want to hear you covering a metal song.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep,
So for them to kind of, ping the other way, it's like, okay, yeah, that the choice makes sense
right.
to me. Um, and I think it got some traction, back
It
then and
did,
still.
but I think I almost wonder, like you said, I think you're probably right. I think it was probably Ross like pushing on them to do something like that because you got to think, you know, $3 bill y'all came out what 97, and I think that formula of doing something so contrasted of like
Mm,
Faith, where it was George Michael and it was real soft, kind of sweet, kind of almost like a love song sound or whatever, and then it's like this big different dichotomy and of this heavier sound. And
metal
I
it up.
think, yeah, exactly, it blew it up, and it was like it worked so well, and so. I think maybe that's what he was trying to do with Message in a Bottle, because it's definitely
Yeah.
not a heavy song by any means. And I think it's cool that they took that chance with it. And you know, it worked. I think it sounds
Yeah.
cool. Is it Faith? No,
Right.
but I would love to hear, not to like throw Limp Bizkit in there as like one of the best bands ever or anything like that, but I'd love to see what they could do with Message in a Bottle. I think that it would they do such a good job of taking something and still giving it justice, but then like, oh yeah, by the way, here's our version of it, you know. But
Hmm.
no, I don't know.
Their
I think it's good.
rendition.
Exactly, rendition. That's right. Yeah, we had a big talk about this before.
I'm getting there with that.
Yeah, but again, like I kind of liked Faith, you know, with George Michael as a
Sure.
kid, and
Yeah.
so when they redid it, I'm like, that's cool. Again, I wasn't a big Police fan, and I think that Message in the Bottle is kind of a weird freaking song to do, you know, and to pick for a metal band. But I thought it was pretty cool. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So,
What's favorite track on the record?
oh, definitely. Was it Exhale the Vial? Is that what it's called?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
freaking love that song so much,
Yeah.
dude.
Yep.
I love
Um,
that song.
I still go back to that From This Day riff.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's catchy, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Yep.
and as a guitar player, it's fun to play,
Oh gosh, yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like, you know, I didn't mind the rapping over it. He got a
yeah,
lot of flack for that
yeah.
song. I remember specifically, I think it was Kerry King who was very vocally an opponent of it.
Oh
I think
really? You
he
think
kind of
was he?
talked a lot about it in the press. If memory serves, I'm pretty sure that was him. But it's like it's what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
It was part of.
yeah,
It's always been part of the style, and
sure.
it's just kind of a
Well,
drag that but it's to
yeah,
be
but
expected from Kerry King. So
if you can pull it off though, then kudos to you. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like
I mean, he
again,
could
Saint Anger.
can if he wants
Yeah,
to.
Saint Anger coming back to Metallica. I'm not
Well,
going to say that that record was a absolute flop because they actually have some good songs in there. I just think that they went way too far with it. You know what I mean? They were they were not used to that arena and they were just like, oh, look at all
mm,
the cool things we
yeah,
can do, you know.
yeah,
And you can even tell like when you watch the recording of that album and stuff, the behind the scenes and stuff, and it's like, you know, just seeing like how Kurt's like pissed off because he can't do solos,
mm,
and Lars is really pushing, like, yeah, we don't want to do solos. It's stupid. And they're like, we got to scream on this one, you know, and like, you know, Lars is like cupping a microphone and like screaming into it. And like, and it's just like, dude, you don't get it. Like, you don't live this, you know, like just
right.
stay in your lane and do your thing. But with Machine Head, they freaking did it, man, you know, and it's
Hmm.
like, I love it. You know, I love that they were able to they go, you know, like Bruce Lee, flow like water, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and they just find their sound that they want to do on this and they make it great. So
yeah. And I think that as much as they've been vocal about, they weren't trying to kind of go with the times. I think Rob's very good at doing that.
yeah, yeah,
Whether
agreed.
it's intentional or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if you listen to the last couple records, they are brutal. They
Oh,
are heavy.
absolutely.
They
That's
are
the thing. That's what I was gonna
massive.
say. That's what I was gonna say. That's the one thing I love about Machine Head is that they bring it every freaking time,
Hmm.
and they can change their sound and they do it so well. And it's
Hmm.
so and that's what's kind of cool about them is that they don't have like say again comparing them to Metallica is probably stupid, but Metallica had a sound that made them who they were that people
Yeah.
loved. And when they veered way off on that, that's when they just started losing people left and right. And then I
Mm.
really think that's why they just keep like, well, we're too old now. Let's just keep playing the hits and make it a big freaking paycheck doing it and stuff. And that's cool. But then they got Machine
Yeah.
Head, who's like, what are they, 8, 9 albums in now or something like that? And they're
I don't even know.
still freaking killing it. Like they're
Oh, yeah.
so heavy still.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like old men up there. Like, you
Mm.
know, I can't do this anymore as hard as I want to. Let's just do it like this. No, they're still freaking it's brutal
Yeah.
shit, you know?
And, Rob has attracted a very talented group of guitar players
Yeah.
over the last few years. I mean, when Vogue was playing, Vogue from
Yes.
Decapitated,
Yes.
that was brutal.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever heard of a band called Havoc from
Oh
Denver?
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember them.
So
Yep.
like, and I feel bad for the singer because everybody keeps jumping ship, but he lost
Yeah.
his guitar player to Machine Head.
Yeah.
He lost his drummer to Fear Factory,
Yeah.
and I don't
Poor
remember the
dude.
bass player, but it's like that just had to beat him down.
Hello,
But
trust issues.
yeah, um, and but yeah, I think Rob's been very good at that, and he's bringing hiring people to that
Yeah.
can handle it because it is a bit of a, like you said, flow like water kind of
Yeah.
situation there.
Yep.
but you can't deny how fun, From This Day and the Blood, the Sweat, the Tears,
Yes.
which I
Oh,
think they still play that one every so often.
yeah.
I don't think they play From This Day, if at
Yeah.
all,
Yeah, the
which
Blood, the
is
Sweat, the Tears. I feel like that's their anthem song on that album for
yeah,
sure. That's the one that
yeah.
everybody probably pulls up and says like,
Mhm.
"This is my favorite." Which again, it's a great song.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I would have to say, coming to think about it, like again, and we can get back. Well, no, I'll just do it right now.
yeah,
Um, so the question I'd love to bring up is, where does this take you?
yeah,
Okay, so that's when you bring up again. My favorite song is "Exhale the Vial," without a doubt. I love that song so much.
yeah,
But again, when I think of this album, I think of those two songs. I think of "The Blood, the Sweat, the Tears" because that was the one that hooked me. That was the one that was like,
hmm
"Oh shit, okay."
yeah.
And
That's the fist pumping song.
yes, absolutely, it gets your emotions into it and stuff.
Hey guys, before you roll your eyes and you hit fast forward because you know this is an ad, Jeff and I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for making it this far into the show. Thank you for all the support that you guys have shown us. We truly appreciate it. We really, really do. In return, we have something for you guys. Jeff and I have recently partnered with W Energy Drinks to get you guys 10% off. So use the code We Were Loud Ones when you go to place your order. If you're not familiar with W, hit the links in our link trees. Energy drinks without the jitters. It's great stuff. Check them out. Hit those links. Codes We Were Loud Ones for 10% off. All right, back to the conversation.
And it's rad. So I'm gonna ask you first because you always
Yeah,
have cooler stories. So which song did you say again was your favorite
From This Day.
from this day? Okay, so where
Yeah,
does that
I'll stick
song
to that
take
one.
you?
It I guess the any song off the record will take me back to I got to see them on this tour, and the
Oh, nice.
tour I saw him in Lincoln at a venue called the Royal Grove, and I'm trying to think of who else was on the bill. It was stacked. I want to say it was Slipknot, Fear Factory, Machine Head,
Oh, okay.
if memory serves. I'm probably wrong, and but it was some variation of that in terms of the lineup,
Yeah.
and it was just like from beginning to end, like probably have never seen a better show than that particular one. But what I noticed is that they were able, like they sounded like the record. And they sounded like
Yes.
the record without tracks, without anything.
Yeah.
Like the amp tone, that was their amp tone.
That's cool.
Like Rob's voice,
Yeah.
same as on, like he was able to reproduce that nightly,
Yeah.
which is impressive in and of itself.
Hmm.
Um, but I just remember being at the venue in the crowd. They played From This Day, and I was like, oh man, I love this record.
Yeah.
And I listened to it. It was like I always call it like my morning record. That sounds weird, but I would always listen to it like first thing in the morning.
Nice.
And at the time, I was going to school in Lincoln, and I had a job as kind of like a merchandiser. I'd go around to grocery stores and stuff. And so every morning in the car, it was The Burning Red for a long, long time.
Nice.
Long time. I don't I don't remember when I jumped off it, but in terms of like constant rotation.
Sure.
But where does it take you?
So it takes me back to it was probably 2000 when I first heard this. And so what it was the band that I was in at the time. Yeah, I think it was either right before or after band practice. And I was over at my bass player's house and he pulled it out and he was like, "Have you heard this yet?" And I'd heard Machine Head before. Like I remember the name and everything. I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I know these guys." And he's like, "Yeah, you got to check this out." And then that was the song that he skipped to was "The Blood, the Sweat, the Tears." And I was like, "Fuck. That is awesome. That is really, really good." And then like I went back and I just remember sitting there smoking cigarettes and just talking and like talking about the album like as it was going through. And I just remember, because there's like an intro on it, right? And then there's like the beginning, and then there's like the second song. I just remember like when he was rapping and stuff, I was like, holy
Mhm.
crap, he could freaking do this. And but yeah, I mean, it was a fun time because like that was like when I was really starting to get really heavy into um new metal in particular, but especially like my band, and like we were trying to find our sound. And that was right at that era that I was like, man, this is fun. I just love that album so freaking much. It was so good. I got a question for you though.
Yeah.
um so you saw them, was what was that, 99 2000 when
Hmm.
they were touring on that?
Mhm.
So were they, and I just don't even know, were they like, we talk about the era of, the look, the clothing, the all that stuff. Were they, because I know them, long hair, freaking, they look like metal guys, you know what I mean?
Right.
And were they kind of encompassing the new metal look at that time,
Hmm.
that flavor, baggier pants and
Yeah.
stuff like that? Okay.
It
Spiky
was
hair.
a, oh yeah. Um,
Nice.
God, what was the brand where it was like the naked ladies? Do you remember that? It was
Oh,
like they
crap.
always tried to like mimic like Adidas and Pony.
Yeah. What was
Um,
that?
I can't for the life remember what it was, but there was a lot of that going on. I do
Okay.
remember that specifically.
Okay.
But yeah, they were kind of doing that whole they leaned into it pretty hard
Okay,
for sure.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
you know, but it's wild because like, I think Fear Factory was on Obsolete.
Yeah.
Machine Head was on the Burning Red. Slipknot was on the debut. It's like that was a pivotal time for music, period,
Right.
I think. Um,
Oh, big
because you
time.
have all of these iconic records,
Yes.
iconic to this day.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a trip at the time, and you don't realize that at the time. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
it's like, okay, yeah, new Machine Head, new Fear Factory, great.
Oh,
This
yeah.
crazy
You
band
just,
called Slipknot.
yep, exactly. It's
It's
just
like,
like
wow,
every
they,
time you sit down, you have a 5-course meal and it's
yeah,
always perfect. And you're just like, okay, cool. See you
yeah.
tomorrow.
You don't realize what it was until way later,
Oh my
you know.
gosh, I know.
And I don't know if this was the show. If Slipknot wasn't on the show, I saw them within weeks at the same venue. But I do remember them throwing like a full garbage can into the crowd. I remember Sean doing that,
That is
and
awesome.
I'm like, yeah, okay, that tracks. Um,
Yeah.
but
But
yeah,
again, that's something that you don't really see too much anymore. You know what I mean? It was
mm,
like, it was part of the shtick was just being crazy, and that's why
yeah,
honestly it kind of ruined me, to be honest with you. Because there's like a lot of really good bands and stuff that I go and see, and the singer also plays guitar or whatever,
yeah,
which is totally cool. And then when they're playing guitar, they're trying to do all of the this, and they just sit in the same spot, and I'm just like, man, I'm
right,
used to freaking just crap flying everywhere, people getting decked, and
yeah,
whatever, and it's hard to see that, and so again, mad props to Jesse from Narcotic, I mean, he does a good job of being a front man because he is that guy where he's in front of the microphone and stuff. But
yeah,
but he still does the hair thrashing and all that other stuff,
yeah, yeah,
and it's kind of tough to be lively on stage when you are tied to a guitar and a microphone. And but yeah, like bands like Slipknot and American Head Charge and stuff, that kind of ruined me,
yeah,
like I'm just used to the craziness. and
yeah. Well,
and
that
even
was,
Pantera kind of started it, like,
yeah,
and that's why it's kind of hard to see them now because Phil just sits on his, stands on his rug with his shoes off, and
yeah,
I am Phil Ensemble. Here we go, and
right.
but back in the day, he was like freaking
Oh yeah,
jumping all over the place and just
oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah. You watch those old Pantera home videos,
Yeah,
and
jeez.
he was everywhere.
Yeah,
But yeah, I do think that kind of the crazy factor, was part
right.
of the whole shtick.
Yeah,
And I think that as I'm thinking back on it, and maybe 99. Well, no, that's not true. It would have been the first Korn album. Like that was a thing. That was a legit thing. Not that they were crazy by any
right.
stretch, but like it was like a psychological process that they were going through, and it was very therapeutic and cathartic and all of those things, right? And then you get up to maybe it was the turn of the century. I don't know. When did Significant Other hit? Was that 2000?
2000. Yeah.
Because then it kind of went that way,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it
More
got
poppy.
it got poppy, and it got
Yeah.
real frat boy kind
Yes.
of
Yeah.
kind of thing. No offense to any frat guys, but um, it started to go in that direction, and it wasn't necessarily that raw honesty that you got
Yep.
on the Burning Red, you got on the first couple Korn records, you got on, you know, those kind of Ross production. He was very unique in that way. And I think that bands started to seek him out because they wanted that.
Right.
And I think other bands started to seek him out because, they wanted that connection. They wanted people to be like, oh, he did the first Korn record. He did the
Yeah.
Burning Red. He did, this, that, and the other thing. But, what I've found out recently is that all of these guys are interconnected in
Yeah.
some way. I was listening to a podcast with Dino from Fear Factory, and him and Ross were like best friends for a long time, and they were roommates at
How
one
could you
point.
not be though?
Right, yeah.
Dino is like the coolest dude in the world.
Yeah. Oh, he totally is. Totally is. We just played with him not that long ago, and he was
Yeah.
the nicest guy. I'm not
Oh
even.
my gosh.
I say that about everybody, but like Dino was. He came up. He shook our hands. He introduced himself. He listened to our sound check. Like he was the nicest guy.
Yeah. Genuinely jealous that you got to meet him. That's so cool.
Oh, it was nerve-wracking.
I bet.
It made me nervous as hell. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I bet, man.
And because it's weird, and it's something that I guess I never really fully realized, until that show, is that when you open for somebody, they're not watching you play,
Right.
because
yeah.
they're getting ready for their own
Absolutely.
performance,
Warming
right?
up, getting their
Yeah.
freaking brain
So-
into it. Yep.
I guess I always thought throughout the years that it's like, oh yeah, they'll see us.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
They could give a crap.
And it didn't click until then because he
Yeah.
said something like, and it was funny because we were on stage getting set up, and he walked into the venue from the front, and he just yelled out the name. He's like, Narcotic Self. And we're all like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It was pretty wild.
That's cool.
Yeah. Super nice guy. Anyways. But yeah, him and Ross were close, and Dave McLean, who was the drummer in Machine Head for the Burning Red, and
Yep.
all the way up until I think only a couple of years ago, he was in a band with Ross.
Oh, wow. Wild.
I think it was called Murder Car, I think is
Okay.
what it was called. So there's the connection there. There's just, it's not even 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah. 1 degree.
And it's, that was back when that LA scene was just, that was, it was the old cliche. It's like, well, if you want to make it in music, you got to go out to LA. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that was true for a long time. And, there's a network out there. And, you want your demo put in the hands of Monte Connor, better start hitting
Yeah.
the LA circuit. Now it's a little different, but in the 90s and 2000s, that was absolutely true.
Sure.
And, when you're a band from Omaha, Nebraska, that's kind of tough.
Yeah. It's a little bit of concrete between us and them.
A little bit of windshield time.
A little bit of windshield time. Well, it's interesting
Yeah.
that you brought that up, or you mentioned that, because it got me thinking about something. So again, especially like Significant Other, which I think is probably the record that really started that division. But again, that's what everybody comes back to, is kind of where nu metal ended up, right? And what I mean by that is like, it's, you talk about like the main four, everybody talks about the main four, and they're different, they're similar, but they're different. And then it just gets really muddy at the end. Right. And obviously it's not the end, because, you got bands like 40 Below and stuff like that are coming out with new stuff. But I'm just saying, back then at that time where everything was so hot, there was a division, and it started to happen. But at the beginning, it really wasn't. I mean, a lot of the stuff was, and that's why I think that, everything got lumped together, because I think a lot of it was very similar, and, whether you had turntables or not, there was still a lot of the same elements and stuff. I mean, because like, for example, if you take the Burning Red and you take Hybrid Theory and you take, Slipknot's first album and all this stuff, and you put them all together, it's like, yeah, that's the same era. But then you see where Slipknot went with Iowa. Okay, they definitely went heavier. You see
darker.
Machine Head, they definitely went heavier. You see Limp Bizkit, you put $3 Bill Y'all with the Burning Red and stuff. You can see that they're the same thing. But then by the time they get over the Significant Other, it's like, whoa, they're really going over this way. Korn's really kind of going along the same route, And then Linkin Park was like, well, we're going to go more rock, we're going to kind of separate. And so that's the thing. It's like, it kind of all started with this centerpiece, and then they all started to split off and kind of go in. And that's where I feel like they took like the 3 to 4 different directions of nu metal. And then everybody's so focused on where nu metal ended. And then, I was on a freaking Facebook page the other day, and some dude was going off, and he was like, "Slipknot is not new metal," and I'm like, "Bro, like, what are you
Oh
talking
man,
about?"
who wants to tell him?
Right, exactly. It's like, "Hey, man, we need to sit down." It's like holy crap, you know. And then so many people get bent when they, they mention like Limp Bizkit and Slipknot together in the same, conversation. It's like,
Mm,
okay, you don't understand where this came from. Then,
right,
I think that's those.
100%.
Yeah, I think that those is probably some 30-year-old guy who didn't live it, or maybe he was five,
Right.
10 years old and overheard these albums with his brother who was in high school or something. But when you were living it, like what we were talking about just a little bit ago, just the digestion of everything that was coming out, it's like
Hmm.
it almost didn't matter. We're like, yeah, keep it coming, keep it coming. It's like, oh, you got more rap than you did last time in this album. Cool, oh, you got rid of the turntables. No, that's cool. I don't care, because there's just so much stuff that was coming out, and it was so good and so much of it,
Yeah.
it was just like keep it coming.
Yeah.
But
And, once there was some success there, and we've chatted through this, the labels, kind of poured on, but,
right.
there was a lot of quality in there
Yes.
that I think gets overlooked.
Yep.
There were some good songs, but again, it was this hard pivot from the super dark subject matter
Yeah.
and kind of more to the more lighthearted stuff. Maybe it was taken to the bottom. You know what I mean? In
Sure.
terms of how dark it got. I mean, and Lord knows there's crazy stuff on these records for sure. You know, I mean, go all the way back to Daddy on the first Corn record.
Correct.
My
Oh my
God,
gosh.
you know what I mean? It's like, do you remember? And I was thinking about this because the Pantera home videos. I
Yeah.
turned 30 or whatever it was. Do you remember the Corn home video? Who then now?
No, I don't. No, I don't know if
YouTube
I've
it.
ever seen that. Okay.
It's I think it came out. It was either right before or right after Life is Peachy. It may have been just the first record, so it may have been
And they have like a bunch of
between.
cameos in that one, don't they? Maybe I have
Well, it
seen it.
was all like the behind the scenes home
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and I watched that through and through. But there is a part in there of him recording the vocals for that song, and
Oh,
Monkey's talking about it, and he was even like, "Dude,
yeah.
what the hell?"
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild to see. I mean, it's a wild song to listen to, but to see them actually recording it. Now, I do think that is a Ross thing because I've seen video of Corey doing it. I've seen
Yeah.
video of Rob Flynn doing it. Like, that's how Ross does it. So I mean, Korn really did set the bar for that, but I think it was taken as far as it was going to be taken.
Yeah.
And is that endpoint significant other? Possibly, because Fred was pretty pissed off on $3 bill.
Yes. Yes, he was.
You
He
know,
was pretty pissed. Yep.
yeah, this was pre-Red Hat, or maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't. I don't know,
No,
but
no, that was pre-Red Hat. That was Black Fuzzy Hat. That was
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Which, yeah, you
yeah,
pick your style, that's all right. But
yeah, it's
um
all a look, and you can kind of do whatever you want as an
yeah.
artist, and that's the
Yeah.
whole point. But to kind of come full circle with the Burning Red, for me as a fan of not only Machine Head but of Ross, I still listen to this record all the time.
Yeah.
I think it holds up, and whether Rob likes it or not, whether whoever likes it or not, if somebody asks me what my favorite Machine Head record, and it's going to be this one.
Oh, me
The
too.
Blackening is going to be a very close second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's when they kind of went back to thrash.
Correct. Yeah.
And there are some riffs on that record. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that mid riff in Wolves. Oh,
Oh. Yeah.
it's
See,
like I
that's
know exactly. I know how he wrote it.
yeah, see, that's
can
cool.
I can see the mindset and kind of what he was trying to do, but man, is it crushing.
Yeah.
And
And that's
Dave's
again, that's
drums
what
were
I think.
perfect.
That's what's fun
Anyway,
about like just having our differences and things and stuff too is like, and we'll probably run into us, 2,000 times, but
mm,
obviously my background is drums and vocals and yours is guitar and bass. And so it's like,
yeah,
you're like, oh, I love this this
We're a
song
full
or this
band.
album because of the riff, you know, and I'm like, that's cool, you know.
But that vocal,
Yeah, but did you
that drum
see how
fill,
he went from a sing he went from like singing right into a scream? Like that was
that's
incredible.
hard.
Yeah, that's hard. It is
I
tough.
can't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, me
I
neither.
don't know how
And
you guys do it.
nope, well, I can't. So
Oh, you've
there was
done
no,
it before.
well,
I've
yeah,
heard you
yeah,
do it.
but yeah, not to the extent of some other people, but I can
Yeah.
sing and scream, but going from a note into an aggressive scream is very, very difficult. On a record, I probably couldn't do it. Live, I could because it hurt like shit.
Yeah.
And you know, but that's fine. But like Cameron Heacock, man, like he was the first person I ever heard do that. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how you did that, you know, but then again, you know, like you know, coming back to, you know, the drums on this record are phenomenal as well. And that's again, that's the thing that pulls me is just Rob, his vocals, his rapping is really, really good. And then the drums are so solid, you know,
Yeah.
and
And I think too on this record, and I think that this is what turns some people off, is that it got really light and
sure,
really melodic in
sure.
certain spots. And there's entire songs that are that way.
Yeah, but I love
And
that though.
I do too.
I
Oh, I do
love that
too.
contrast, you
I
know?
do too. And that contrast is what makes heavy parts heavy,
Yes.
And it's like, when you're trying to, and that's, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this. This is why I don't really care for Meshuggah, because it is like a
Oh,
constant level
same.
of brutal.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's cool for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I need something else. Or to me, it all sounds the same, And when I think they tried to kind of rectify that by having the whole like midsection,
Oh, sure.
just super clean and delay and
Yeah.
reverb and all this stuff, and
Right.
it's like, okay, overall I get the dynamic, but like there's just nothing else there, but that contrast is what makes the heavy parts heavier,
You
for
nailed it.
me. And,
You nailed it.
and I think that's, Rob understood that.
Totally understood.
And I think that's what makes this record good. It makes that riff in From This Day even better.
Yes. Well, there you go. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. And coming back to a food reference again, I don't know why I'm using food
Are
analogies
you hungry?
here. Yeah, I think I am hungry. Actually, I am pretty freaking hungry. But no, but I was gonna say it's like you know, imagine you sit down at an Italian restaurant or something like that, and you get a plate of like four different things on it, you know, to eat, and you get spaghetti, you get lasagna, you get rigatoni, you get, you know, and they're all the same flavors, just look different, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, that's kind of boring, you know. But if
Yeah.
you had a plate where you have some great lasagna, and then maybe you have some like, you know, like bacon wrapped dates, you know, so it's got
Now
like a
I'm
different.
hungry.
Yeah, see. But the thing is like, so I look at an album like, you know, not to like you know, lean on ours or anything too hard here, but just for sake of discussion.
Mm.
So when we did Blueprint, you know, I really feel like it's like a meal. You know, you start off with like an appetizer, and then you start kind of getting into, okay, like here's something that's, you know, got a little bit more depth and heaviness to it, kind of like this part of the meal. And then you get to like this climax of like, okay, now I'm eating the main course and stuff. Then you get a little bit of dessert and stuff. And then like when I think of like 6.5 hours, right, the last track on our record, that's the sitting back and having a cigarette, you know, like, man, I just had a great freaking meal, you know. And it's just something melodic at the very, very end. And it's just like, yeah, that was great, you know.
Yeah.
And I love it when bands did that, and I love that the fact that's what we did too, you know. It's just it goes on a journey, you know. And I agree, I love Meshuggah, dude. I freaking love Meshuggah. That is the band where people are like, what's like one of the heaviest? I'm like, here we go. Do you it's like, do you like metal? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, what's your favorite band? Metallica. I'm like, you're not a metal fan, you're a rock fan. And it's like, here, listen to Meshuggah. And they're like, what is this? And it's like, that's what I thought. Step off. But no, I get you. It does. It gets very repetitive, and yeah, it's like, it's definitely not the band that you can listen to for 2 hours straight, you know, because you need that
I know
contrast.
people who can.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But I need more
They're all
flavor.
texting me right now, ironically enough.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. Are they a drummer?
Yeah, one of them.
There you go. That's what it is. Yep.
Dude, my band loves Meshuggah, all of them. So like, I just shut up when they start talking about it.
I
You
get it
know,
though, man. I like them,
I mean, I like them fine, I guess.
Yeah.
But I can only listen to Bleed so many times.
Yep.
And yes, the riff is crazy, and
Yeah.
it was original and intuitive 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it's just annoying because you hear it everywhere. Walk into a Guitar Center, you're gonna hear some kid trying to play it.
Totally.
Um, but
Can I bring
yeah,
up to cut you off real quick? Sorry.
yeah,
So with the Meshuggah thing and Bleed. So this is
mhm,
a weird tangent, but I got to bring this up. So one of my good
yeah,
friends, Chris, he's actually an organist, and he's like
yeah,
a like world renowned organist. He used to be like a hired organist in Washington D.C. And
nice.
this guy can play the organ like you wouldn't believe. And I don't mean like a little, I mean big cathedral organs and stuff. And
Nice.
so he is the organist at, a church in Omaha, and that's actually how I met him and stuff. And he's just, so good at it.
Yeah.
And so either which way, he understands music like you wouldn't believe. And I love having discussions with him. He's like, I don't understand why people like metal, but it's, teach their own. He's really into classical and all this other stuff.
Sure.
But one day I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see if I can break this guy, because I could throw him any song and he could break it down exactly what they did. It doesn't matter if it's metal, doesn't matter if it's hip hop or whatever. And I'm like, how do you do this? And it's like, obviously he majored in this and he understands
Yeah.
it like no other. I'm like, I'm gonna throw Bleed at him and see if he can figure out the time signature. And dude, just right in front of me, he's just like, okay, yep, 23 times, this and this. He's like, they're doing this. It's out of, he starts naming off, the key signature and all this other stuff. And I'm like, he'd never heard it before in his life. And he just broke it down like it was like 2 + 2 = 4. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do you do that? I don't know. That was just a fun memory. Every time I think of Meshuggah, I always think of my buddy Chris, because
Sure.
he's a genius and I
Yeah.
am not.
Yeah.
So,
Me neither. And but I kind of, I don't know. Just Meshuggah's Meshuggah. And
Meshuggah's Meshuggah.
I'll leave it there.
Yep. Yep. There you go.
But yeah, I think again, kind of coming full circle on the Burning Red.
Sure.
I'm probably gonna go listen to it
Oh, heck yeah.
as soon as we jump off.
Absolutely. Well,
Or
yeah,
have it
because
on in
I'll
the background, because
I'll be
now
doing
I'm
it for a
like,
run tomorrow for sure.
yeah, I'm
Yep.
jonesing for it. So
Yep.
but yeah,
Well, cool, man. Well, again,
for
great
sure.
album. And everybody listening, I hope to God you've heard the Burning Red.
Yeah.
But
If you
haven't,
haven't, stop what you're doing.
yeah, stop what you're doing.
right
Go
now.
listen to it, because it's one of those albums, when I think of new metal, that is the epitome of one of the ones that epitomize what the new metal sound was.
Mhm.
And they did a hell of a job at it. And yeah, love this
Let me
band.
ask you a quick question before
Sure.
we jump off.
Sure.
Because it just popped in my head. So it's, we've kind of been talking about this point in time where kind of everything kind of splintered, right?
Yeah.
And new metal was, in the 90s, that very dark, very kind of Ross Robinson kind
Sure.
of, really dark subject matter. And then you kind of pivot into the Limp Bizkits and everything becomes more hard rock. It's still
Yeah.
called new metal,
Yep.
but I mean, you've got, just because they're top of mind, like Pressure 4-5 and
Yeah.
those kinds of bands, bands that are great, but they're not that. They're not dealing with that kind of
Yeah.
subject matter. They're not that production. They're not that, there's, so I guess, did new metal just become hard rock at a certain point in time?
Yeah.
It's like, for me, that would probably be significant other.
Well, it did, but again, I think and we've talked about this, but I think that obviously the labels had a lot to do with that. But I think
Yeah.
everybody
Oh, yeah.
did it. Stained, Seven Dust,
Mhm.
everybody came out roaring, and then it was like, yeah, but I could probably make a lot more money if I added
Right.
a vocal hook to this rather than a guitar, a riff,
Mhm.
yeah, and it definitely, again, Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, to me is perfect. I think it's a perfect
Yeah.
album.
No, I don't disagree.
Yep.
and that's, maybe significant other is the wrong kind of focal
No,
point
I
or
think you're
pivot
right though.
point, but it could very well be Hybrid Theory because that's when, but
Yeah.
see, then again, it's like you have hard rock, you have rap rock,
Yes.
and it's all under this new metal
Yeah.
umbrella, but to me, it's like, I don't, I don't know if that's new metal to me anymore.
No, I
It's
agree.
like we've
Yep.
called it, a timestamp and all of these things, but as we kind of talk through this,
Hmm.
it's like, those bands, you know, early 2000s and on, it's like they kind of really got away from what new metal was or
Yeah.
what was to become new metal and what people tend to reference when they talk about it. And that's Korn, that's Deftones. Like there was some crazy stuff going on in those songs, and then I guess they at a certain point got a little bit more radio friendly.
Yes. Yep.
It's kind of hard to put a song like Daddy on the radio.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yep,
Or a
exactly. Well,
song,
yeah.
like The Blood, the Sweat, the Tears, or, God forbid, Five, because that song,
Yep. Yeah.
I can only venture a guess at what Rob was
Yeah.
dealing with at the time. I mean, I
Agreed.
know what the song's about because I've heard him talk about it, but anyway,
Anyways, but yeah,
just a quick thought at the end.
no, no, no. I think you're right, and I think that I was kind of having the same revelation about 15 minutes ago. I was sitting there thinking like, again the splinter of everything, and I just feel like the our generation was we had just gone through two legitimate splits of music entirely,
Hmm.
whereas like hair
Hmm.
metal was so big and you had the Crews and the Poisons and the
Yeah.
whoever, Cinderella, whatever,
Mm.
and then it just got kind of gross, and it was like, oh, everybody's doing the same thing. You got to have your ballad, you got to, and like the ballad is the most important song on the entire record, and then you got to look
Mhm.
pretty so the girls like you too, da, da, da. And it just got so gross. And then all of a sudden grunge came out and it was such a different dichotomy to what hair metal was. It was like, we don't care what you look like. It's all flannel, ripped jeans, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm not going to sing with my mouth open. I'm not going to put vibrato to my,
Right.
to my voice, whatever. It was just, we're going against the grain now. And then again, there's the record labels kind of freaking made that bland and gross and played out, and it was like
Yeah.
almost like people are playing dress up grunge, after a while, and it was just, they took advantage of it. And then it was just, I think that it was just our generation was like, what the hell's going on, and it's like,
Mhm.
I'm sick and tired of this, it's like grunge kind of had that feeling, and it kind of phased us into the, we don't want the nonsense anymore, like stop being the adult in the room telling me what I'm supposed to like, musically. And then I think that's where new metal, like Korn especially, just came out and was just like, boom, this is so different. And we're like, thank you, I wanted a
Mhm.
different flavor of something, and I think then there's this whole pool of our generation just filled up, where we're just like, I want this, 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 I want something different. And then the labels, and again, after about 5 years of it, we're like, yeah, but let's go this way and let's go this way and
Mhm.
let's, and I think that that's what just everybody was like, I want to make more money off of my record sales rather than touring and merch. And I think that's where it went into, and because again, today, it's easy to blow up without a label. Look at Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
She's like one of the biggest people in the world. And her and her brother wrote all their stuff in a bedroom, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's incredible. You couldn't do that back in 99. You
Mm.
needed a label and you wanted it to be somebody that wasn't, we have 5 bands to our label, and,
Yeah.
but yeah, you had to get pulled whichever direction they were telling you to go. It's like, but again, I just really think that's what it is. It was just our generation was just so sick and tired of the, stop telling me what I like. And that's
Yeah.
when you get songs like Daddy,
Yeah.
and it's cathartic, and it's all about relativity, and being relatable. And I think so many of us can relate to songs like that. And God, you listen to Nelson, you know, and then like Corn, it's like such a difference of emotions and stuff. And it's like, that's what we
Yeah.
needed. We just wanted something real.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that sums it up pretty nice. And I think, you know, what the labels tend to do is maximize shareholder value.
Yep.
And, that's why you tend to see these cycles in music.
Yeah.
So, and it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it's the way it
It's
works.
the way it works. That's right. Hello, capitalism.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like, and we can put a pin in this, but I just kind of feel
Yeah.
like, I think it's really cool again, that new metal's making a resurgence. I just hope it doesn't turn into the gross part that why it died,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see some of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I've been saying about all the Josie Scott stuff. I'm here
It's
for it.
funny that you brought that up. I was just thinking of Josie Scott. Because you did those reaction videos, and by the way, if you
Yeah.
haven't, if
Yeah.
for our listeners, if you haven't seen the reaction videos, go check them out because they're awesome. You did a great job on that, by the way.
Thanks.
But I wanted to make one comment about that song "Famous," and
Yeah.
it's got a hook, man. And
Yeah, it
gosh,
does.
if it doesn't get in your brain immediately and stay there, and it's just like I'm taking this over right now with no rent. But anyways, what I wanted to say was not to disparage Josie, but I thought it was so unequivocally ironic that it's like this is what he does. He's so good at writing a hook that he's gonna add like the F word where it's like, I can't play this song on the radio, but it's a radio song.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
he can't help himself from writing something so radio ready that he made it edgy by putting the F word in
That
it
they
and
can't
stuff.
play it on the radio. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, dude, you just ruined it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying ruined it by putting the F word in, but it's like he put two things together that don't fit.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's hooky and stuff, and it doesn't matter about being on the radio anymore, obviously. But
Nah.
but I was just like, man, you just can't help yourself. It's like he's
Yeah.
got the formula down, and it's just like, yep,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Click, click, boom.
Click, click. That was awesome. Way to go. That was great. But again,
Hey,
kudos to him. I'm not
yeah.
disparaging him. But
I I don't know why I'm so drawn to this feud that he's
I
in
love
with the
it.
new guy, but I am totally here for it, man. Like when I
Yep.
stumble across those songs, I'm like, oh my God, I have to film my reaction, if only
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
because he's gonna, I have to, and I listen to him, I'm like, I'm in love with this song.
Yeah.
And, I think you and I were messaging back and forth, not long after, we're like, oh my God, that hook is ridiculous. Like these are insane. The second one, I think it was just called Who. That one, not so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, Famous, it's like, man, like I can't wait to hear this other guy's reaction
Yes.
or his song,
Yeah.
know.
It's fun. Like you said though, like I'm in it, like this soap opera
I'm
is
totally
going
here for
down
it.
and I'm just popping the popcorn. Just
Yeah.
like, let's go. Who knew that this corner of the world was gonna
Yeah.
be where I'm at right now? But here
Hey.
I am.
New metal, Jersey Shore. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
New metal Jersey Shore.
know.
That's right. Josie
And-
Shore.
Yeah, Josie Shore. Oh man, I hope that if he ever hears or sees any of this stuff,
Yeah.
I hope that he knows that we love you and we love what you're
Team
doing.
Josie.
Yeah,
Team
Team
Josie.
Josie all the way.
Heck yeah.
And going all the way back to what 5, 6, 7 episodes ago when we were first talking about it, and
Yeah.
but I'll always take his side
Heck yeah,
as
man.
opposed to the rest of the band because I don't know, like why are they being dicks? Like I don't.
Yeah. Obviously,
Hey,
there's
like,
stuff.
what's
You're right.
what's
There's
the big
stuff there.
deal?
Yeah, there's stuff there,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's like I look at it like we're all freaking like pushing 50 or just got over the 50-yard line, and and like damn it if we are freaking watching these freaking guys
Mhm.
argue like two eighth graders and we're waiting for them to freaking meet outside in the parking lot after
Yeah.
work or after school and like duking
Yeah.
it out,
See,
that's what it
now
feels like,
I want to do a comparison video now, like put them up side by side, like pick a song
Saliva
and do like a
versus-
versus, Josie versus the new guy.
That's
Maybe
fun.
that'll be the next reaction video.
That's fun. That's a good idea, actually. I'm in, man.
I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget it, and we can do that one. That'll be fun.
Heck yeah, that's cool.
I'll say Josey versus other guy because I don't know his name. I don't know who you are. I don't know your name.
Versus other guy. That's funny.
Don't know your name.
Anyways,
but I mean, I don't want to throw any hate at that guy because I have no idea who he is.
I mean, God, he got into the impossible. That's what's so hard about all these guys, and I can relate to an extent. It's tough coming into a band that's already recognized, and then you're the second lead singer. I mean, guitarists and stuff, no offense, but the guitarists can kind of come and go. Sure. Drummers can kind of come and go and stuff. But the lead singer, it's really, really freaking
That's a tough one.
Tough because you're kind of the face of the band, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, who the hell are you? So again, mad props to the guy. He's filling some big shoes,
Yeah.
But good God, if this isn't fun. And we talk about this all the time. Like I really want the best for all the guys in Saliva, even though they're kind of, dicks or whatever to you at that one point and stuff, I do want the best for them. And I want the best for their singer. And I want the best for Josey and stuff, but I also want the best for me. And this is freaking fun,
I also want to be entertained.
That's what I'm saying, and if it's selling records and downloads and stuff, freaking go for it.
Part of me, I don't know if I hope that this is true, but wouldn't it be wild if this was like a coordinated and planned thing?
I was thinking the same thing.
Hey man, I'm going to go talk a bunch of, trash in the press, and we'll do these diss tracks, and we'll create a whole bunch of, of hype around all of this, and then we'll all be happy. We'll all make money. I
was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, like, what if this is like some freaking pro wrestling bullshit?
Well, how reality show would that be?
That would be so freaking awesome. They're totally playing everybody. That would be so freaking good.
If they puppet master this thing like that,
kudos.
I'm forever a fan of all of you.
Genius.
If that's not the case,
still fun.
Still fun. Still a fan of Josey, but
still fan. Yep. That's awesome. All right. Well,
okay.
On that note, Team Josey and Team Machine Head. So
yeah, for sure.
Anyways, well, thanks everybody for listening. Make sure you check us out on all the social medias and stuff as well. There's a lot of discussions that have been happening and stuff with some of our posts, and that's always fun to get involved with that. And please like, share, comment, all that stuff, and we appreciate it. And cool. Until next time.
All right, we'll see you.
Good journey.